Hey everyone, this is Cheryl with Cam Art. Hope everyone's having a great day. I'm really excited about this next piece that we're about to do. It will be a resin piece with glass and acrylic paint. So we're going to paint on this 11 by 14 professional canvas. It's an Artist Loft, get it from Michaels. We're going to use just acrylic paint. Simple acrylic paint. I have like 5 different colors we're going to use. It doesn't matter the name brand. I have 5 different manufacturers that I'm using with this. So for my acrylics, I typically use them only with the art resin products. So you can use any acrylic paint. So don't go out and buy really expensive paints for this. So, but we are going to use cerulean blue, sap green, some ultramarine blue, Payne's gray, some yellow ochre. I do a lot of mixing with my paints, and then of course a little bit of titanium white to lighten it up. We're also going to be using this color of glass, this nice lavender color of glass, and then this darker purple glass. One side looks like a mirror and the other side doesn't. So there you go. Lots of that. I'm going to use some white glass for some clouds. And then a variation of some purplish lavender glass for the flower petals as well. And then several different green colors of glass. And the other thing I do when I paint with acrylic is I use inexpensive brushes. Don't spend a lot of money on them. I have this cheap little brush I use for the large areas, and then I use a little dagger brush to get some of the sharper points, and then I just use this simple little brush and then this liner brush. So you don't have to buy expensive brushes for this. And when we get through, I'm excited about this. This is what we're going to make. It's 11 by 14. It's glass with art resin. You can see here I painted the canvas. I have the sky blue with some darker blue sky around the upper right, upper left corners of this canvas, so that the viewer's eyes will be drawn down to the bottom of the canvas where we're going to put that cluster of flowers. I have a couple of tree lines to add some dimension to this in the background. We will start working on the foreground. I'm going to add quite a few leaves that they won't look that good, but they'll be very good background for the glass that we're going to layer on top of this foreground, and it'll just add more dimension. So I'll be speeding that up so that you can watch it, but it takes me probably about 30-45 minutes to do that, and I don't think anyone wants to sit here and watch me paint blades of grass for 30-45 minutes. So while we're waiting on the canvas to dry, I'll start selecting glass for the cluster of flowers. So I'll pull several different shades of green, purple, lavender, periwinkle. I'll put it up against the canvas to see how it's going to look with the colors of the background. Then the next thing I have to do once I decide on a shade of glass, then I have to look and make sure that I have enough for the project. Excuse my dirty hands. As you can tell, I did not use gloves while I was doing the acrylic work, which is something I do often, which is do acrylic without gloves. I always wear them for the oil, but the acrylic, I get a little bit lazy on them. So now comes the process of actually taking these big pieces of glass and cutting them up into the smaller pieces that we'll use in this project. So as you can see, we have our deep purple and then our lighter lavender and our green stems that we'll be using. And then I crushed up some of that periwinkle that we'll be using in the background, and then crushed up a lot of the green glass. And there's some smaller pieces and larger pieces that I've crushed up. And it's just a fun thing to do. It takes a long time, but so now I will start taking the glass, putting it on the canvas, trying to come up with my design, and work with the different pieces I've cut up. We'll go back, I'll cut them smaller. Sometimes I'll have to go back and get larger pieces. And this really takes about 2 hours for me to finish. I just am such a tedious person when it comes to this. So I'm going to speed up the video at this point just so you can see the process, but you're not sitting here watching me do this in uh, real time, because it just took me quite a while to get this done. So I flipped the video around so you can see that I have the flower, pretty much so the way I think that they're going to look. I have the leaves laid out the way I want them. The periwinkle glasses in the background. I've added a little bit of green glass. I'm going to take the clouds off now. You can see where I also pulled those and added those. And I'm getting ready to start the art resin. So I'll take the clouds off first when I start putting the art resin on, because you want the resin underneath those big pieces of glass. Otherwise, it just does not adhere well. And then your big pieces of glass sometimes will start floating as well. So I'll start putting this resin on, and you'll see me make sure that it's covering all those petals in the flower. And I'll come back as I'm get all the resin on and add all the other petals uh, to the flowers, because it'll be easier to do it once the resin's on. And for that process, once again, I'm going to speed up the video so you can watch it, but not be watching this for another hour or so. So I've gotten the resin pretty much so on this entire canvas. I'll continue to add a few pieces of glass here and there. And as you see the video progress, you'll also notice that I'm continuously putting resin on the sides of the canvas so that this canvas is completely sealed. I do come back and I will actually cover this canvas. I think I covered a total of 4 times because I wanted to cover that glass as much as possible. It's still sharp because it is glass, but you know, you just want to put as much protection between the glass and the public, but still you don't want to lose the beauty of the glass. So I'm going to speed up this video again so that you can see the process. So I have all the resin on the canvas, and now I am using the torch to get the bubbles out, the air bubbles. I'll do this for several minutes, and then I'll come back in about 15 minutes. I'll do it again because the bubbles will continue to rise over about 30-45 minutes. And you just want to continuously come back and use your torch and keep it moving. You cannot stop this torch during this process because if you do, you will burn your canvas. As you can see, I'm continuously moving the little pieces of glass back up into the flower bed so that it's not out in the middle of the field. And then I come back and I torch again. So this is the process you do for the next 30-45 minutes. You torch and then you wait for the air bubbles to surface. You move things around and then you torch again because you want that resin to be just as smooth as glass when you get through. After I get through with the torching, then I will cover this up for the evening and then come back the next morning and uncover it, and it should be ready to touch. Hey everyone, this is about 3 or 4 days. I think it's the 4th day after I completed the project. I went back and I covered this 11 by 14 canvas 3 times with art resin, and then I also created a complementary piece to go with it out of the leftover glass that I had. As you can see, the complementary piece, the tree line of that smaller piece is an 8 by 10, really aligns well with the larger 11 by 14 canvas, so they look really pretty together on a wall side by side, or they look gorgeous just by themselves. I use the same paint color so that they're consistent with both canvases, and I use the same glass. I think this is just an absolutely gorgeous piece. So both of these will be on the camartist.com website if you're interested. I appreciate you staying with me throughout this video. Glass is very difficult to work with, and if you happen to order this, just remember it's still glass and you must be very careful with it. Keep it out of reach of children or anyone who is not stable. I do my best to make sure it's covered up well with resin, but it's still glass and it has sharp points on it. So everyone have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.